Good morning everyone and welcome to Peteonretreat. It's June 1st here in Thailand, which means it's my 6-month anniversary of moving to this beautiful country. Please join me on my morning walk as I reflect on my first 6 months of living in Pattaya and I answer those questions that everybody's asking me. Am I happier living in Thailand than I was in the United States, or was all of this a huge mistake? I can't believe it's already been 6 months. Does anybody remember this guy? Yeah, that's me. 6 months ago. I had only been here a couple hours when I turned on my GoPro for the first time. I didn't even know how to use the thing. In late 2021, I made the decision that I was going to sell everything I own so I can go live abroad for 10 years and travel the world. I sold my house, I sold my car, clothes, furniture, several different like pop culture collections, a ton of music instruments, a bunch of possessions that just tied me to living life in America and didn't necessarily make me happy. I love to travel, but I had never been to Asia before, and I decided to move to Thailand sight unseen. I had no idea if I would be happy here. I mean, we're talking crazy heat, tropical storms, mosquitoes and centipedes and snakes, a crazy language I didn't speak based on tones with an alphabet of 44 consonants. Yeah, I had no idea if I would be happy living here. So that's a big question, right? Am I happier living here? Yes. Undeniably, 100%, I am absolutely happier living here in Thailand than I was living back in the United States. You know, I didn't realize how unhappy I was living in the United States until just a couple months ago. I mean, obviously I knew that my life could be better, and I knew that I was unhappy with what I was doing in the States. I lived the life of a worker bee. I spent the last 25 years working for Trader Joe's, working 45 to 50 hours a week. Sure, on paper it looked like I was living the dream. And to many, I was. I even thought I was living the dream for quite a while. I had a very nice house. I had a nice car. I pretty much had all the toys I ever wanted to buy. There was a few years where I took a couple amazing trips every year. But the truth is, working 50 hours a week for corporate America, destroying my back in the process, making 2 German billionaires even richer, was never the dream I wanted to live. It wasn't until after I lived in Thailand for a few months that I realized how wrong all of that actually was. At least wrong for me. My life wasn't miserable, but for the last several years, and especially after COVID, I also realized I was just over it. And once you realize you're over it and you're still stuck in it, oh man, happiness is hard to attain. One of the best parts of my life in the last 15 years was a 4 or 5 year run I spent where I got to take some amazing trips with some of the most beautiful people I know. We went to Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Jamaica. The girls and I went to Germany for Oktoberfest. I love to travel, and it was really nice having a group of people to travel with. It made it a little more affordable and it made it a lot more fun. Our group eventually fell apart and my worldwide traveling came to an end. I finally started planning a bunch of trips and then the pandemic hit. If any single thing really changed my mindset and pushed me to come here, it was the pandemic. I knew this would be an amazing way for me to travel and see the world. In 6 months of living in Thailand, I have now gone to Laos twice, and I've gone to Cambodia. I'm going to Japan in July, and I'm going back to Oktoberfest in Munich in September to meet up with my buddy who didn't get to make our last trip 10 years ago. On my list for trips next year, I plan on going to Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Singapore, plus finally starting to travel around Thailand after I learn the language some more. There's no way I would be spending as much time as I am in all these fantastic places if I was still living in the States. In my 6 months of living in Pattaya, I've gotten to experience some incredible times here. I moved here December 1st, so the first big thing I got to do was the traditional Western New Year's Eve. That was followed by the Lunar New Year, and then most recently, the insanely fun and awesome Songkran Festival. If I lived in the States, maybe I could have come here for one of those, but definitely not all three. And just day-to-day life in Thailand is awesome. The food here is incredible. I mean, I love Thai food, but here in Pattaya, you can eat almost anything you want. Killer burgers and pizza, fantastic Italian, some bomb sushi, Chinese food, Indian food. It's all here. The culture here is fantastic. The people are just warm and inviting. I know everything changes and the tone of the world's different since the pandemic. There's plenty of ugliness going around, but there always has been. That said, Thailand is still absolutely the land of smiles. I live on the Gulf of Thailand. I'm surrounded by beaches. Everywhere I look, there's jungle, there's greenery, and there's flowers. Okay, I'd be lying if I tried to say the weather couldn't be any better, but it's really not that bad. These morning walks are always fantastic. In my 6 months here, I've gotten to live in some fantastic places. I've stayed in 4 different condos or hotels. I've had beautiful swimming pools, breathtaking views. I signed a 1-year lease for my current place. Every morning I wake up and I look out over the Gulf of Thailand. I've gotten to watch some breathtaking sunsets from the comfort of my balcony, and it's not even sunset season yet. I get to watch a fireworks show about twice a month from it. It's just right there, right in front of my balcony over the Gulf of Thailand. It feels like a private show. It's so much fun. I'm within walking distance of Cozy Beach. Jom Tien Beach is just a long walk or a short boat ride away. I'm at the base of Big Buddha Hill. Has this beautiful park. Since moving here, I've gotten to make some great friends. I was only here like 5 or 6 weeks when I threw out my back. My new friends didn't hesitate to jump into action and come to my rescue. They made sure I was fed. They brought me meds and just assured that anything I needed was taken care of. Speaking of my back, my physical health has improved since I've moved here. One of the promises I made myself when I decided to move to Thailand was I would be healthier at 50 than I was at 40. I've got just a little bit more than a month to go, but I've already kept that promise. I'm the thinnest I've been in probably 20 years, the strongest I've been in probably 20 years, the most active I've been in 10 or 15 years. As I've briefly mentioned a couple times, I have back issues. A couple months ago, I found an absolutely amazing masseuse. She's able to read my body and addresses different areas, sometimes that I don't even realize need attention. A 1-hour oil massage in Thailand costs about $10 US. Back home, I'd be lucky if I could get that for $65. With this big decision in my life, I have more time to focus on my health. I've got more time to do the back exercises that I tend to neglect back home. I've got time to go to the gym every day of the week, even though I really only make it about 5 or 6 days a week. I've got time to walk 5 or 10 kilometers every day around this beautiful town. It's possible my life at home would have allowed me time to do this stuff, but with the demands on work, I definitely wasn't prioritizing it like I am now. Even my allergies are better here. I've suffered from pretty bad allergies for most of my life. No food allergies, I'm just allergic to air. Pollen, dust, mold, all that stuff. Oh man, I've lived through an entire spring now, and my allergies are better here than they were in Austin, Texas, which is horrible. Check out Cedar Fever if you don't know about it. And better than they were growing up in Los Angeles. For a couple decades, I've taken daily allergy meds, and here I find myself taking them just about twice a week and only after symptoms show up. One of the biggest concerns I had moving to Thailand, and just with retirement in general, was that I get bored. Boredom does not breed happiness. I am so much busier than I thought I would be. I go to school 3 days a week. In theory, I'm doing homework 7 days a week, but that's not really happening. I go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. For my first several months here, I went on 2 or 3 walks every day. That's really cut down. It's pretty hot, and now I've got a treadmill at the gym. Of course, I gotta eat a few times a day and socialize and the other regular things in life. I'm also getting ready to run Dungeons and Dragons online. Oh, and I can't forget everybody out there. Yeah, YouTube. YouTube's taking more time than I thought it would. Most of my videos I spend, I don't know, 3 to 6 hours editing at least, sometimes 8 to 10. Then there's the process of shooting them, collecting fun shots to share with all my viewers, editing everything and putting it to music. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy the process. It's a fantastic hobby. It's generating me a little revenue now, but it does eat up my time. So, is my life filled with sunshine and rainbows out here? Alright, let's get into the hard truth of some things. I've always been pretty honest and open on this channel, but there's one thing that I hadn't talked about at all. Sure, I look like I'm just happy all the time. And that's almost true. I'm happy most of the time. But like most people, I also have my issues. I've struggled with bouts of depression throughout my life. I've often felt lonely. I knew that moving to Thailand, a country where I knew nobody, that loneliness was something I was going to have to deal with. But I've dealt with it before. There were plenty of times when I was living in Austin, Texas, that I felt lonely. Even before I moved to Texas, living in California surrounded by friends and family, there was times I was lonely. I've also got some social anxieties. I get anxious almost any time I'm going to attend any type of public gathering or event. I absolutely love playing Dungeons and Dragons, but I get a little anxious before every session. Yeah, I know, my life's out here. I'm a YouTuber. Somehow on this channel I could just babble on and on and on, but often in a social setting, I just kind of clam up. Don't have anything to say. One of the reasons I was able to move to Thailand in the first place is because I'm single. I'll even go to say I'm chronically single. Yeah, I've had several serious relationships in my life. I've lived with multiple partners, not at the same time, but I'm more often single than not. I'm sure some of you out there are saying, Pete, you're in Thailand. You do not have to be single. That's absolutely true. One of the reasons many Westerners come here is to find a wife or a girlfriend. But at this point in my life, I want to be single. Right now, I'm spending a lot of time working on myself and being with myself. I'm open to being in a relationship if it happens. Currently, I'm looking at having a girlfriend the same way that I've looked at having my own children throughout my life. I've always said having children would be the greatest thing that could ever happen to me, and I hope it never happens. So yeah, I get lonely out here. Sometimes I'm a little depressed. In my lowest of moments, I'm there asking myself, what am I doing here? Fortunately, I don't have those moments often. Even after sharing all that with you, I'm happier with myself now than I think I've ever been in my life, at least for the last 30 years. My mental health here in Thailand is the best it's been in my adult life. Now, do I have any regrets about moving to Thailand? I can honestly tell you, I have no regrets with moving to Thailand. I think a better question is there anything I would have done different? I hadn't really spent much time thinking about that, but there is one thing I would have done differently. I would have gotten into Thai language school sooner. I really had all the intentions of starting school within 2 months of being here, but it took me a little over 5 months to actually get into a class. What can I say? I'm a professional procrastinator. And now it's time we get to that big question. Pete, was selling everything you own and moving to Thailand a huge mistake? No way in hell.